together with my entire coaching group, all my students that wanted to join this week's call. We discuss Canva, the full tutorial on how to actually use Canva, and I actually go into detail on how to make a YouTube thumbnail, marketing material for a book. I'll see you guys there. I love you. Let's go. All right. So yeah, there's two versions of Canva. There's a paid version and there's a premium version. I know it's kind of an investment, but I actually recommend most of you guys to actually do the actual premium version, just because it's a lot more intuitive and there's a lot more options. I do recommend for anybody like using any design platform, the layers are kind of like this. You start with Canva, something super simple, super cheap. You go to Adobe Illustrator or something like Photoshop after that. Just keep it really simple. Canva is the best one out there that I've found. So when you log on and you make an account, you're going to be greeted with this, obvious homepage. You can have templates to choose from. Really, you have anything that you could possibly think of. You want business cards, you want a website, you could even do website. Like you type in website and it will show you that it will lay out websites. I've known people that have websites created strictly through Canva. You can do thumbnails for YouTube. They actually, mainly the only difference between these quote unquote templates is just the sizing of them. You can notice that the sizing for a YouTube thumbnail is 1280 by 720 or 1080 and that's pretty much it. If you do a logo, it's just going to be standard 500 by 500 pixels, and that'll be it. So whenever you have a project that you need edited, you just go over top right, create design. Doesn't really matter. We're going to actually create a YouTube thumbnail because I feel like I have to create a lot of YouTube thumbnails for YouTube, and I will walk you through that because there's a lot of layers and steps that kind of go into it. And I want to break down all the options and things that you have available to you. The most classic version of what you can do is just strictly go into the top of design and you could type in whatever genre or business thing that you're in. So we could do marketing. And the idea is you can get a template. You can click on the template and now you can edit the template. So whenever this loads, you can edit the different elements within the template and you can, move things around as you would like. You can make things bigger or smaller. It really is up to you. The one thing to keep in mind is that for anything with these crowns, if you don't have the actual pro version, you're going to be limited. But there are a lot of things that you can do with just the templates alone. I used to start with templates. I go strictly from scratch now, so I'll delete all of it. I will start with, a classic white plate, which is just, white background, and we'll start editing from here. So the first thing I want to kind of cover is the left, sidebar. You start with design. Elements are like the little tiny objects. Like any type of object within an image is an element of the image, right? So you can click it. You can click whatever you want. You can search for whatever element you want. Some things that I found that are really, really useful. If you do 3D objects, I think that, or we do 3D, if we do 3D business, this one always, gets me excited. You can have like these 3D characters that you can put into your images, into your Instagram posts. You could make Instagram posts on here too. I used to do that. And you can just start building them into your scene and really just create a lot of life. A lot of other things that I use with elements are shadows, right? In photography, you learn that, the only thing that matters is light, shadows, and highlights. So on my face right now, it's pretty, it's pretty flat. I have a light here and I have a light out there. It's called the sun. It makes the image, look the way that it does. To change or add a little bit of contrast, you're literally just adding shadows or you're adding highlights, which are the opposite, and they're just super white pieces. The next thing is text. You can have a lot of, template text, or you can just add fonts that you want. Brand, depending on what brands that you have, you can actually add your own, brand kits. So logos that I've built in the past are these ones. You can scroll down. You can see other logos that I've made for different clients or businesses that I've run, and you can upload them here so that they're all within the brand section. Uploads. This is how you upload your own media, your own personal stuff. So you'll notice that whenever I have a thumbnail that I'm working on, like this is pretty much what we're going to do, right? This is where this conversation actually starts, is I will go with my camera and I'll take these photos, these random headshots of me doing things. I have them all throughout my Canva. And these are what I use to edit for my YouTube. So when I like something, and you can see that there's a lot of them and a lot of different settings. Whenever I need photos, I'll just take photos and that'll be that. So we click on a photo that we think is interesting for whatever we're making. Let's say, we like this photo for some reason. We can size this up. You can either size it up or put it as a background image, and we can start designing, right? So this is the background. Now, Some technical stuff that I'm going to go into deeply. If you can imagine, you have this image. I always like to make a second layer, which is just copy the first one and paste it. So now you have two of the photos of what we have. It's literally just copy and paste. I go to edit image. I go to background remover. This is going to create our depth because my photo by itself has no meaning or contrast or anything. We can't really do much with it. So I want to go ahead and create two layers that I can start editing off of. When this will, get done, I will layer them back on top of each other and it will look like one image because it essentially is. The only difference is now I can start playing around with things like shadows. So before you couldn't really, I had a static image. I couldn't add anything into the image. I could add things on top of it. So if you can imagine layers, right? Now when I go to actually go like add something, I can take something like a highlight, which is literally just, if I go to elements, I type in shadows, I click on this like highlight that I think is interesting, which I always use in all my thumbnails. I right click, I go to layer, I can, show layers. I can drag this in between those two things. And now I have a highlight behind my head. And not only is it a highlight, but whatever, image or whatever thumbnail I'm creating, I can go ahead and actually change the color of this highlight to match the mood or the scene of whatever I'm doing to make it actually make sense. So we obviously need some type of video that I need to make a thumbnail for. So go to my YouTube channel. I'll show you guys. And I already have a thumbnail in mind that I want to recreate. I'm going to do this one right here. The one that is, $100 million leads for SMMA. I think that this is the most compelling visually. There's a lot of light. There's a lot of things that are happening. There are a lot of layers. And how do we make this? So we're going to go here. We're going to delete all this. It's not really interesting. Go back to uploads. This is where you upload your media again and click on the photo that I used. This is the original photo. So the principle still applies. You want to copy the initial thing. So now you have two photos, right? We have two photos. So we're going to go to edit image, same type of routine. We're removing the background first. So background remover. And this just allows, like I said, an extra layer of things that we can actually use. Now you can do this as many times as you want. Usually if I only have myself in the background, I'll do 2 layers, but this instance, I'm going to do 3 layers because I have the phone in front of me in the foreground. I have myself in the midground in the background behind me. So now I replace the second image, which is literally just, the outline version of myself. The background is removed. I will copy this once again. And now I have this third one that's moving around. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and remove the background, but this time we're going to try to erase the phone. So we go over to the left side of the screen. You can see that there's either erase or restore. Press erase and it shows the actual, background that was removed. I'm going to increase the brush size. We're just going to get rid of my face. And the goal here is to really just to kind of highlight around the phone as best as possible. And I'm obviously going to be adding light and stuff into the image to kind of get the final look, right? So you can do this as slowly and as accurately as you want, because we're on a time crunch, doesn't really matter. Boom, done. Phone is done. So once it's done, you position it back where it was, and we come back to our reference image, which is the one that I've already made, right? Another key thing that I want to kind of give you guys as a tip. Whenever I do thumbnails or whenever I design anything, I always want references. Whenever I did my book thumbnail, book design, the design of my actual, divided book, you have to I want to see something similar within, the category of whatever I'm doing. So I'll go to YouTube and I'll type in SMMA and I'll look around and I see kind of like the references of things that I want to try. Okay. Jordan Platten makes incredible SMMA thumbnails. I always look at his and you can kind of see there's a lot of depth. There's a lot of color. Scroll down, a lot of these guys use this weird graph looking thing in the background. I've tried to implement that element's actually going to be implemented in this thumbnail. So, you can see this little graph thing. So we have the 3 layers. We're going to apply. Now our layers are complete. You can crop, right? So Canva's weird with selections. If I click anywhere in this, purple selection box, I'm selecting the element. If I click outside of it, I select the next element. So my goal is to just deselect all of it. Now we're going to go to elements and we're going to go to glowing money. Super simple stuff. I like things that glow. I like things that catch your attention. If you look at thumbnails, a lot of this stuff looks like it's glowing, right? So I'm pretty sure it was this element of this $sign. We're going to just copy and paste a shit ton of these until it looks, nice. So when I go to right click, I just clicked on layer. It's going to show the layers of the image. We have the phone layer at the top, my soloed out, selfie or portrait. Then the background image, we're gonna just loop this. We're gonna move the money behind the phone. So now that it looks like it's behind the phone, look at that. So the glowing blue light of my light when I took the photo now actually makes sense for the scene because I have this money that is in front of my face. So it gives the illusion that I have, like, I want to take this digital element, which is the glowing money, and I want to make it real. And the only way to really make something like that real is by using the same light. Like, everything is light. Like, if you don't take anything away from this conversation, just remember it's all light. What do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. If you look at my screen right now and I want to create a thumbnail where there's a zombie or something in front of me, like, the light of the sun is going to hit the zombie, and that light is going to hit me. It's probably going to be like a little green, a little pale. So the shadow that's going to be casted on my face is probably going to be kind of dark, something like that. So I would have to create some type of lighting that kind of resembles that. So then when I add the zombie in front of me, digitally, it actually looks like it makes sense for the image. If this photo was added and I just added this blue thing in front of me, it wouldn't really make sense for the scene, and it wouldn't really, portray that like anything was kind of like, it wouldn't look realistic at all. That's literally all I was saying. I can show you that. So I'll show you that right here. So we have, another photo of Alex, super sexy guy. We take, some digital money of the same money that we're just using, and we put it in front of his face. It can't cast a blue shadow, and it doesn't really make sense for the image. So when you're taking photos, just make sure that you're thinking about kind of the overall goal. Anyway, they had 5 little dollars coming out of it. So we're gonna, add a few more. Are you guys liking this so far? Is this helpful? Does anyone think it was stupid? Thoughts?
I didn't know you
I
could
like
do
it.
this much with Canva.
Say that again.
Yeah, I like it.
Cool. So the next thing is text. I have glowing money. I have a phone that's glowing. It's like digital online money, whatever. That's kind of the theme that we're going with. So I'm probably going to want glowing text. Good thing for us, Canva has a glowing option, but this one's pink and it's also not the right font. My favorite font in Canva, which I recommend all of you guys use if you're doing logos, is Archivo Black. Okay. It's a very bold, out there font. It's very attention grabbing. It's loud. If I do recall, the thumbnail was 10,600. That's how much I made last month. Hold on. All right. A month. Now you can just size that down, move that over. We're going to change the color of it to white, highlight it all, change it to white, rotate it properly, scale the shit out of it, and then we put it down at the bottom. Now, you're probably going to notice it's a little hard to read, like right here. I'm super into things being legible. If you have text of any kind anywhere ever, if I can't read it, it doesn't make sense, right? So, you can read the 10,600 and then it gets kind of fuzzy right here. So you can accomplish this, effect. And this is for anything that you're designing. Just adding another shadow behind it makes it seem like there's some separation between the elements. Just literally the only effect that I'd recommend you use. If it doesn't make sense, you could do blue I'd keep it black actually. And then boom, there's some separation there. Okay. And when you're looking at this on YouTube, you're not gonna sit there and be like, there's a little tiny shadow in there. I can see that. I promise you won't. Then the last thing is you want your graph element, which graph line, which is this one. Pretty sure. No, that's not it. Scroll down. And you guys are probably wondering, how do I generate this stuff? Like, how do I know what to search for? How do I know what to look for? It's really, really simple. It's this one right here. So when I go to have an idea for anything that I'm designing, I'll look for references first. I always look for references. You should always do that because you need something to kind of model after what you're designing. And I will, kind of look at something. If I don't understand it, I'll break it down by shapes. So let me add this in there. Also, if you guys have Mac, Command minus will zoom it out, but there's also a zoom slide bar at the bottom here. So anyway, what I was saying is it also kind of looks like my money's going down. So we might want to flip this horizontally so that it looks like, if we scroll it over, that it's increasing. Visual interest. The thumbnail is pretty much done, guys. Like that's pretty much it. It kind of it looks really similar. But what I was saying is, whenever you're kind of designing anything, just finding a reference image, and let's say that I don't understand something. So I break down the image by shapes. So we have, this phone type shape. So that looks like a square. So I'll say that's a square. I'll come look for like square things until it kind of like clicks in my brain. Maybe it's a phone. You guys can pretty much tell this is a phone. If you can't tell it's a phone, I don't know. Just come up with things in your brain to kind of generate questions that you can, put into elements when you're recreating stuff. So that's thumbnails. Okay. I just, showed you guys breakdown of thumbnails. I'm going to show you some other, cool little tricks so you guys can understand more things. Okay. Whenever you add things, like I said, shadows and highlights are the biggest thing. So whenever you have an uploaded image, I always want to remove the backgrounds because then I can add shadows on my character. So my character is myself in most of my thumbnails or designs or whatever. So I will, wait for this background to remove. Then you can right click it and there's a shadow option. You can either have a glow shadow, you can have a drop shadow, you can have whatever type of shadow you really want to. The main purpose of this is to, again, more visual interest. So, Alex Davis right here, super cool guy, looks good, but it's not really, appealing. So what I'll do is I'll edit image, click shadows. They make it super simple and intuitive. So you don't have to think about it that much. Press glow. You press it again. Now you have the option. You can size up the shadow. You can make it a little bit more blurry. You can change the color of the shadow, which, by the way, here's another design tip. Whenever you design anything, the best thing to do is make the shadow the color of the thing behind you. So if I'm in a room where it's dark and it's brown, I'm probably going to make kind of a brownish shadow because the light is hitting me. And the shadow that I'm producing is going to be brown of some kind. It's not going to be exactly black all the time. People that do that are kind of like, I do that sometimes, but they're not good designers. So you can click other, colors of shadows. There's a really nice close to being black, but it's a really dark blue that I always love using. It's very light. It's this one. The color code is that if you want to write it down. That's the other thing. If you are looking for specific colors, you can always add a new color and you can literally search by color code. Super simple. Are you guys doing good?
Yep.
Have you guys learned anything?
Yeah, definitely. Like a little bit more Canva itself in general. I mean, I've used some programs before, like I had the cracked version of Photoshop before, and I'm using stuff like Paint.net, which I've used quite a while. But yeah, this is helping.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't know Canva had that many options and features to it.
Yeah. Do you guys understand how I did the thumbnail at least, like with the different glow effects, of like how I got the look of what I did? Is there anything that you guys want a little bit more explanation on, or does it all pretty much make sense?
This makes sense. It's fine for me.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it all makes sense because I've been using Canva for a while, but it's pretty interesting that we're finally talking about it.
Yeah. I figure that there's a lot of tools that I use that I want to give you guys master classes on that have helped me, and I realize that most people don't really know how to use them. Cool. So the other thing I will say, so we have shadows, is mockups. Okay. Gabe, I know that if you're still in this room, which I'm pretty sure he is, I can't tell. Hold on. No, he left. But Gabe, wrote a book. I wrote a book. You're probably going to want to have that displayed somehow. So we're going to do some marketing material for a book. Okay. So the first thing is your cover image. This is what you're probably going to have as a PDF. If you, upload this is my SMMA secrets. By the way, you guys could go check that out. If you haven't, you all have the free copy of it. I don't know what I'm even saying. So if you go to apps, Canva has a lot of cool apps. You guys should check this out. My apps, surprisingly, are mockups because I use them all the time. You click on mockups, and now it's so self-explanatory. You can have mockups of literally anything. So you do a mockup. You can do. There's two versions here that I want to kind of teach you guys about. You just take whatever image, you hover over the mockup, you let it load, and you have yourself a mockup. Okay, I'm pretty sure you guys all know how to do that. If you don't, that's how you do it. But the thing that I'm looking for specifically is books, because they have a lot of options as far as branding things go. Like if you want business cards, if you want to show an app or something, you can use a lot of different branding tools. I wanted to do a book. Now, there's not really a book in this, right? In this app. Packaging, if you guys do any packaging design, they have water bottle mock-ups. You can really go ham with that. We could also probably do a little design for wrappers in a second if you wanted to. But let's come back over to uploads. Let's open this cover. You can right click it, and Canva has built in, it's not an app, but it's built in mockups. So you click it, you click edit image, you scroll down a little bit to where it says Smart Mockups. You click See All. They have some good options. I've used them in the past. And this is what I'm saying. So what I would do if I have a book or something, scroll down to where there is the option for books right here. And I wouldn't do a scenery one, maybe for marketing material, which this is all marketing material anyway. But I always want to do kind of like just a 3D book mockup by itself. You click it. Now you have something to play around with. If we could make like a poster of some kind that basically, explained what was going on here, we could, create something for the website. So here's a really, really cool trick. Watch this. So you want a background of some kind. You do desk. Actually, we go to photos. We do table. Okay. You can get tables. You can zoom them up, put them right here. And there's a lot of options that you can do with these. And then you want to do layer, layer, and do send backward. And you have a book. But then you're like, dude, the scene doesn't work. What did I tell you guys? It's all shadows. So you do shadows. You have like a little drop shadow right here that looks very, very similar to the bottom of that book. You want to adjust the angle of it to line up properly, scale it down, then move this thing over to the bottom of the book. So now when I take the cursor away, it kind of looks like it's actually sitting there. If that doesn't make enough sense for you guys, we could add a deeper one, which I always do. These are the circular type of drop shadows. You can scale them down and you can put them here. And then you want to right click layer, you can just do send backward. And now our drop shadow is not in the background. It needs to be in the background. Now it's in the background. Okay. It's a little dark, but it does the trick. Okay. And now our book's sitting there and you're like, I want a background. Cool. So what are we going to do? We're going to do business background. And they do have options where you don't have to create these separately, right? And then I'll right click set images background. And there you go. Now you have like kind of a little stylistic mockup that you can edit. You can add text over here, which we're going to do. We're going to click the text option. We're going to say the only SMA book you need. Okay. And we'll put that there. We'll click it. We'll highlight all of it and do our fun little font, size it down. Doesn't look that cool, does it? If we click on the text, we go to effects. They have their own options for shadows. I always either love the lift shadow or I will do the actual shadow, funny enough, and I will make the transparency to full, but then I will go to blur and I will make that full as well. And then I will change the actual color to match what we're doing, which is, I don't really like that yellow. That one's kind of light. I don't hate it. And then you can change the text color, maybe, if you wanted to black. It'll probably be black. And if you want to do something even cooler, you can copy and paste it again. Then you can flip it. You can go to flip or position. Well, you wouldn't do position. You would just flip it upside down like this, 180 degrees with a little bit of tilt, a little bit. Put it here, go to opacity, transparency, which is the 3 little dots, and you can really ramp that down. Kind of tilt it a little more. I don't know. This usually works better if it's like a watery surface. It's not really, I don't know if this really kind of makes sense for what we're doing. I hope you guys know a little bit more about how Canva works. Maybe you grabbed a few things. If you did, comment below what your favorite takeaway from this video was. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I love you very much, and I will see you all in the next episode. Peace out.